to solve the problem in a few minutes. I wish to thank you once again, thank you all for coming here, especially the contestants, the judges, Jim Frank, who came here from the United States, and Jonathan Slater, who represents Omnicomplete. This is Jonathan, in case anybody wants to speak to him or ask any questions. Today's event, today we will focus on two focal points. One focal point is innovation. We have 10 companies from Israel, another 10 companies from Europe, half of which are startup companies and the other half are small and medium enterprises, all with excellent innovation, very, very interesting companies, and you will hear them present in the first part of the event today until lunchtime. On the second part of the event, we have asked some of the key figures in the Israeli Homeland Security to speak about go-to-market strategy. The number one challenge that companies cope with, besides funding, which is a major challenge that everybody knows about, is how to sell your product, how to make your first sale, how to make your first major sale, how to make sure that you keep the market, how to expand to other markets, and this is what our second part of the event will focus on. The security sector in Israel is an extremely important one. It was actually highly developed since 1967, since the French embargo, and it made us have to develop our own industries. The numbers are, we had $7.2 billion exports of the security industry in 2010. That's $1,000 of exports per citizen in Israel, which is pretty large, growing all the time. About 9% of the total exports from Israel. And these are pure security. Of course, there are other companies which stem from the security market and have become very interesting companies in their own. We are still waiting for Professor Ahrens to come. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, please put them up. All right. I'll run the presentation without sound, and I'll add the sound. I'll add the data myself. This is a presentation I held in the United States in Pace University. Turn off the lights. Is that all right? All right. This is a typical MIT Forum event. Here we saw one of Israel's greatest entrepreneurs, namely Eli Gurvitz, the CEO, former CEO of Teva, which is the largest generic company in the world, with a very high valuation. This is another typical picture taken at the break at one of the MIT Forum events. As you see, almost all of our visitors are men. It's very nice to see so many women on stage today. Israelis are considered very fast movers. The name for an Israeli is sabra. Sabra is this fruit, prickly pear, and Israelis are considered to be prickly in the outside but nice and soft in the inside. This map shows something about Israel. The photos here were taken from my rooftop, and you will see the sea on the one side and the West Bank on the other side. Israel is a very small country. It's very, very narrow. Its size is about the size of Massachusetts. We take a lot of room in the media, but in fact this is a very tiny country with 7.2 million citizens. The width of Israel is about 21 kilometers at the narrowest point. As I said before, Israelis are considered very technological and fast movers. However, Israel started off as a socialist country, and in the 80s we still had an economy which was by and large regulated by the government. Okay, as a child growing up in Israel, we hardly had any imports at all. Israel depending on agriculture, on tourism, on textile, and a little bit on its defense industry. However, it enjoyed the existence of excellent universities. We currently have 6 universities in Israel. One of them is rated among the first 100. This is the Jerusalem Hebrew University in Jerusalem. And this was the basis, actually, the defense industry and the strong universities for the development of Israel. Nevertheless, in the early 90s, the Export Institute predicted that the main exports during the 90s would be oranges. However, to the software sector vis-a-vis the oranges, this has become a major growth engine for Israel. In the 90s, we see Israel excelling in IT and defense, and we see a lot of large companies developing centers in Israel. So Intel and IBM did that in the 80s. In the 90s, we saw digital equipment, we saw Microsoft. Now we have everybody here, basically. We have 2 R&D centers of Google in Israel. We have almost any large company you can think of. Bringing Israel to one of the major junctions worldwide in venture capital. A very successful decade in the 90s and in the beginning of the next decade. The IT sector grew immensely. Exports grew immensely. People who were in key positions in foreign companies became executives and entrepreneurs in new companies. If you look at the exports of Israel divided by their technology intensity, you'll see that it pays to be a technologist. So the very high technology companies have developed very strongly, and the less technological companies have developed less so. Another interesting statistic is the industrial production by technological intensity, and here we have a comparison of Canada, the United States, Europe, and Israel. And if you look at the high-tech sector in Israel, it's huge compared to other countries. If you look at the number of employees per 10,000, there's a very strong, very fast adoption of PCs, of Wi-Fi, of cellular communication. I think we are the first or second worldwide in the use of cellular telephony. We have a lot of patents per capita. We are one of the most significant players in NASDAQ. Okay? As many as Canada, as many as China, more or less, companies are traded on NASDAQ. This is about 100, which is pretty impressive. And Israelis are also considered very quick and very, well, you'll see this, considered stubborn and committed, okay? They tend to stay together in groups. You'll see people that work together in the army or in their university degree. They also tend to be repeat entrepreneurs. If in the United States only 1 in 20 becomes a repeat entrepreneur, in Israel it's almost 1 in 3. And they're also considered very cash efficient. Okay, they work in small, quick teams. They're workaholics, and they can do wonders. This is why we've got so many American investors to invest either directly or through VC funds, either American VC funds or Israeli VC funds.